Hello, hello, can you hear my face, ho? How about now, do you hear my face, ho? Hello, it says there he is. There he is. Capture my display, that's the wrong display to capture. Hold on, I used to be good at this, but not anymore. It's been a while. You know, it's been a while since I could hold my head up high. It's been a while since I said I'm sorry. Alright, listen. Over here on this screen is a bunch of trash about Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. You may have heard of him. He pretended to be the president of the United States for a while. Turns out it was actually Barack Hussein Obama. We've talked about that previously, though. From NBC News, a very reliable rag, NBC, Trump allies shift from well wishes to suggesting Biden hid his cancer diagnosis. Meh. I was saying when I thought I was live that I don't, newsflash, I don't think Biden hid his. The Biden that we have isn't even actually Biden. And may have never actually been Biden. It might be the second, the third, the fourth guy to wear the, spooky guy latex face mask and or a robot. But let's see what everybody wants us to talk about today. The news of the former president's illness coupled with the damage to Biden's world credibility, the Biden world's credibility when it comes to his fitness has led to speculation about a cover-up. No way. Really? Look at that right there. Look at that face right there. And tell me, does that face... Alright, so let's look at this mug right here. Right here. Where'd it go? Okay. So see this guy right here? You see the width of the mouth. See the shape of the nose. Notably the earlobes. Okay? See that? No, I know. He was younger then. And then, of course, here's his wife. Dr. Jill Biden. Dr. Jill that had no idea that he had stage 4 Gleason scale 9 prostate cancer for the last 5 years. Dr. Jill Biden had no idea that her husband, Joe Biden, who's this guy here, who's not the same guy, allegedly, as this guy right here. Look at that. Those are two different dudes. You see the screen? See that? Those are two different dudes. That is not the same human being right there. Okay, this dude, listen. So I think like when the first guy crawled back inside the hollow earth and got down there with the reptilian overlords after his adrenochrome treatments when he came out, this is what he looked like this time. When he hatched out of his most recent egg that he hatched out of, this is what he looks like now. Different face shape. Different nose, different mouth, different earlobes. This is probably a 40-something-year-old GS-14 individual wearing a latex mask. Because that's not the same person. Now let's look at this. That's not the same person either. Look at the neckline. Look at the mouth again. Look at the nose. Look at the ears. I'm just saying. You could just have a blast with this. They say it's all the same dude. That's not the same dude. Okay, let's go back. Okay, right there. Different earlobes, different nose, different mouth. Okay, but, oh yeah, that's totally Joe Biden. From that guy to that guy, look at the eyes, the eyebrows, the nose shape, the mouth. To that guy. The eyes, the eyebrows, the nose shape, the mouth. That's not the same human being. Okay. Well, Barry's older now. These are two pictures. There's another one right there. I could do this all day. The eyes, the eyebrows, the nose shape, the mouth, the earlobes. There's another one. That was another one right there. I could do this all day. All right. Anyway, I digress. So now we're all supposed to be up in arms because Dateline Washington, an initial wave of bipartisan sympathy for Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis has started to ebb. giving way to suggestions from Donald Trump's allies that the former president's inner circle masked his condition while he was in office to create an illusion that he was up for the job. There wasn't a single sane human being that observed Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. asterisk and believed that that man was up for the job. In a social media post Sunday showing a picture of Biden with the caption, "Politics aside, we wish him a speedy recovery," the president's eldest son, Donald Trump Jr., wrote, "Agree, 100%. Come Monday, he posted a darker message. "Everyone was in on the cover-up. Who was running the country? We need accountability." Barack Hussein Obama. And then remember all of the Biden regime's executive orders and pardons at the end of his administration? They were all signed with an auto pen while Biden wasn't even at the White House. Remember all of that? So those things there, all those things that happened. Now, I'm no constitutional attorney, but sounds like none of those things have any actual presidential power, any validity, because pardons can't be signed with auto pens, right? Okay, cool. Hold on, I got to pull up the chat on my smaller existential crisis rectangle because 2 is not enough. These 2 screens right here. Oh my gosh, Ryan Hull is live again. Ryan, could you stop? Could you just... It is east of us, but then, you know, we got this thing called Grindstone. Yeah, and so it's like sometimes we have to drive halfway across the country to go help people. So, hold on, let me pull it up, guys. I'm pulling it up. If it'll let me. Can I watch my own live stream on my own phone? Nope. Sure can't. Sure can't. I hate YouTube. The revelation on Sunday is that Biden, 82, is suffering from an aggressive form of prostate cancer and has rekindled the old accusations of an especially inopportune time for his inner circle and Democrats more broadly. Listen, Democrats suck, but so do Republicans. No, MAGA, Bear, don't you understand, man? We're going to make America great again. The MAGA base is not Republican. The Republican base doesn't like the MAGA people. They don't get along. The Republicans are just going along with Trump because Trump has decided that he is a Republican rather than a Democrat. However, I don't know. There's like certain spending bills, big, beautiful bill, right? Republicans aren't marching in lockstep with MAGA. What about the NFA? Why do we still have an NFA? Why is there a cat peeing on my head right now on the screen? What is this? Your home smells like cat pee? Try this. What kind of ad is this from NBC News? You know you've made it as NBC News when there is a cat peeing on your head right here. You guys see this? This is ridiculous. We're going to have to scroll, aren't we? We cannot stand for this. Oh, no, it's an ad. Go away, ad. Thank you, Google Ads. That's what Google thinks of me. Speaking to reporters on Monday, Trump said, "I think it's very sad, actually. I'm surprised that the public wasn't notified a long time ago because to get to stage 9, it's not stage 9, it's stage 4 with a Gleason scale of 9. That's a long time." He added that, quote, "Somebody's not telling the facts. It's a big problem." Oh, great. Dr. Trevor screenshot it and then felt the need to take a picture. Thanks, Trev. You're the best. That's really good for my mental health. Vice President J.D. Vance told reporters on Monday that he hoped Biden, quote, makes the right recovery. Makes the right recovery? J.D., we know you're from Appalachia, but those words don't word, homie. Makes the right recovery? What's the right recovery, J.D.? Like dirt nap? I don't know. You mean makes a full recovery? But Vance then pivoted to Trump's words, to Trump world's familiar talking point. Quote, "We really do need to be honest about whether the former president was capable of doing the job." He wasn't capable of doing the job. He also wasn't doing the job. That was Obama doing the job. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, Republican from Oklahoma, called the timing of Biden's announcement interesting, suggesting it was an attempt to distract the American people from a tough news cycle. We know Mark Wayne. I know what. You know, don't take this the wrong way. When I say I know where he lives, I don't mean like I know where you live, bro. I mean like we're familiar with his territory. Former Representative Dean Phillips, blah, 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 blah. Oh, look at all this blah, blah, blah. One Biden aide also said blah, blah, blah under anonymity, said the ex-president would be better served if he answered a few pressing questions. Why was the cancer detected late? Did doctors test for it earlier? And what are Biden's prospects for recovery? His prospects for recovery, if you've paid any attention to the Democratic Party, when somebody has run the gamut of their usefulness, they disappear. So his prospects for recovery are essentially zero, if you ask me. He's 82 years old. Let's be frank. I don't like it when good people die. Joe Biden's not a good person. So I'm not wah about this. www.google.com. My fingers don't work. Awesome. And what was I going to look up? We had some tornadoes yesterday. We had to cut class, our AAR, yesterday. Cut it early because there was a tornado headed right here at refugemedical.com. And as much as we wanted to complete the AAR, it was like, hey guys, first things first, how about we don't get hit by a tornado? That's a different part of my organization. That's not refuge stuff, that's grindstone stuff. And so we ended class just a little bit early. And then I was on my front porch in 70-mile-an-hour straight line winds, getting hailed to the face, getting rained on, blowing a shofar at the storm. And then the creator of the universe said, speak to the storm. I said, okay. And so then I just started praying, just talking, saying, thanks, Dad, thanks for everything. Pulling a full-blown Lieutenant Dan on my front porch. Actually ended up, all the students that we had here, we had 31 students here, and I was going one by one for each of the students that was here, praying for them, that they got home safely, and that the Father would continue to teach them and reach them and bless them. And then we didn't get hit by a tornado, so that was super cool. But some other people did. Washington County, Arkansas, state of emergency has been declared. Powerful storms produced tornadoes in Nebraska and Oklahoma on Monday. That was yesterday. No injuries or fatalities have been reported. I have reached out to all the people that we know in the area and been like, hey man, you good? And most of them are like, yeah, we're good. We did have some localized damage here. Our brother Jody sent me this earlier, and this is him and Waffles cutting up a tree. There's a reflection. It's here relatively local. Doing grindstone stuff on the fly in the local neighborhood. So that's cool. We had some power lines down and some trees down and just your standard light storm stuff. One local area around here, they're reporting, they're like, man, we got hit super hard. And the problem with that is when you do grindstone stuff and you hear, got hit super hard. I'm thinking what, EF4, EF5, it's like EF0. But they have no baseline for what super hard looks like. So, we got some guys out in the community doing some stuff. Super cool. Oh, I also wanted to tell you guys this. For reasons, I am aware of the specification for the survival kits that the Senate is requesting a price on. And we are way better prepared than they are if that's what they're going to give people to survive with. And so I just wanted to throw that out there. Super interesting that there's people are looking for a bid to be tendered for survival kits for the Senate. And what's in there is not, it's pretty useless. Nice background, Bear. Feels like CP now. JK, he. Fedor, don't make me come over there and teach you a lesson, all right? I was trying to do this with there's 3 different settings when you do a live stream from YouTube on a big Babylonian rectangle of death, like on a computer. One of them is webcam and the other one is stream. And for whatever reason, webcam function wasn't working, which is what I normally do. So I had to do stream, which means I had to pull up OBS, which means it was going to have some kind of something on the screen behind me where I've got a quarter or 20% of the screen for my ugly mug, and the rest of it has to be taken up by something. So I just pulled up some tornadoes in this Trump article. I have no idea what Canadian Prepper's doing because I don't watch that trash, and I haven't watched that trash since, hell, I don't even know it's trash anymore. I haven't watched something from Canadian Prepper in probably 8 years. I was in Texas the last time I willingly watched a Canadian Prepper video. So what's up, Nate? Now, see, the fun thing about Nate is he's Canadian and super passive aggressive. So instead of just calling a spade, he dances all the way around it. I don't like him. And that's okay, because we don't have to like everybody, and that's fine. If you like him, you can like him. I don't like him, and he also doesn't like me. He just doesn't have the balls to say that he doesn't like me. So whatever. And if he did, I wouldn't care because I don't watch his shit. So I would be completely unaware of it. But it don't matter. Anyway, the Senate's survival kits are hot garbage. Like, they're not good. But I find it interesting, or at least what has been specified for the Senate to have as survival kits is not good. But I find it interesting that they are specifying survival kits for the Senate. Could be nothing, could be something. Most likely threat in any scenario for any human being is like what's on the screen right now, like, weather, tornadoes, all that stuff. Let's see. Volatile storms on tap. Yeah, look at that. There's trees down. Craziness. Oh, look at that. They're picking up a tree is that touching a power line? Boy, I hope they're not doing that. That would be, I don't believe in evolution, but I do believe in natural selection. If there's a tree on a power line, please don't pick it up. That's a bad idea. Continuing. Most likely threat is going to be weather, right? It's going to be tornadoes, hurricanes, flooding. Oh, we had some flooding. Our other office flooded, and so I missed some calls that I had this morning. Couldn't make those calls, and I had to completely take the drums down, and some brothers came over, helped me move some furniture around, and basically pull the carpet out of the office, and it's garbage. Sucks. So, flooding, tornadoes, hurricanes, fires, ice storms, that's the most likely threat. And so, maybe the Senate in D.C. needs some garbage survival kits because the most likely threat, weather. But maybe it's something else. What's the most dangerous threat? External bad actors. And so I just found it interesting that the weather is, that's the 4th time this year, says Lamppost. Yeah, it happens all the time. So, in unrelated news, we're shopping for a new administrative building because I'm tired of my stuff getting flooded. But the Senate is a Chinese survival kit. Nice spam squirrel. I don't think that it does because it's bleeding control. Or maybe it's just the bleeding control kit. I didn't set that up. So you might want to reach out to the person who did. Anyway, we're totally doing a class in Kentucky at Kentucky Sustainable Living. We're just figuring out the details on it right now. And, we'll be there. We're going to teach. We just wrapped up 2 days of Train the Trainer, 2 12 or 13-hour days.
Boom! That was badass.
It was awesome. It was awesome training. Had 31 students, all good students. Usually there's 1 or 2 or a handful of people in class where you're like, they're really nice people, but they're going to die when the world ends. And it wasn't that case. It wasn't that way with this class. They're all really good people. A lot of fun, a lot of good instruction. I like teaching regardless, but it was even cooler to be able to train trainers. And so not just run people through scenarios, but explain the scenarios and how to set up scenarios and what are the TLOs of the scenario. And it was really good. Really, really, really good. And we just dropped our wilderness responder class today, which is taught to the ECSI 36-hour wilderness survival standard. There's a final exam. It's accredited through ECSI. It's a legit class, and we're going to be teaching that over the course of 3 days, 2 nights in the wilderness. So it's not a classroom setting. There's no tablets or laptops or PowerPoints. It's going to be taught in the field. And the price of that class includes more than $500 worth of training material that you will keep, as well as your field guide, textbook, exam, all of that. So, super cool. When it's offered again, I highly suggest it. Be the force multiplier. What's up, Jennifer Lowe? Appreciate that. Can you talk to a senator in Oklahoma about getting refuge medical kits? Yeah, I mean, I can, but, like... You mean for the Senate? Why do you think I'm aware of what the specification is for what the Senate wants for survival kits? You know, I mean, dancing around a non-disclosure agreement right now. Yeah, maybe. One could hypothetically, allegedly do such a thing. Oklahoma City hospitals are training for high trauma victims from storm damages. Are they training to train, or do they know something? What is it being broadcast now? Tell us what's coming. Well, I told you a year ago that there is a new emphasis on mass casualty training at hospitals, and pre-hospital trauma medicine, number one thing is critical bleeds. 90% of trauma is massive bleeding, SMARCH-E algorithm. I think more so, there's different initiatives throughout the years, throughout the decades with hospitals as to what they're going to focus on. Infectious disease protocol, plague and pandemic was a recent one about 2019. You might remember that. And that's a different set of protocols, different set of equipment and training for mass casualty incident. And mass cas, could the stated reason for why they need to know mass cas is because of extreme weather? Sure, could be that. Or it could be the 4,000 known terror cells in the United States of America, because trauma doesn't care if you're bleeding due to a chainsaw accident from cleaning up a tree, or from flying debris from a tornado, or because you got shot, stabbed, or blown up by some, jihadi, or whatever domestic bad actor. Blood is blood. Trauma doesn't care. And so the protocols, the procedures, the equipment are all the same for trauma. And so mass cas, who cares why there's a mass cas? I mean, I care, you care, but from a hospital standpoint, mass cas is mass cas. The modality of injury is going to be relatively similar. So, I don't know. Now, I saw Ben at Space Weather News put something on X yesterday where he said, save this post. Within 1 year, there's a, what did he call it? I don't want to misspeak on Ben's behalf, but words to the effect of, like, there's a black swan coming concerning global space weather or something like that. I don't know, man. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure the next rad radar was kicking yesterday and is kicking today because my face hurts. Like, my nasal passages, headache, the whole nine, just facial pressure. And it only does that. I've been living in Oklahoma for 7 years. It only does that right around these giant storms where the next rad radar goes off. And we had a line of storms yesterday. There's been plenty of storms in Oklahoma that were big storms where the radar wasn't kicking off, and I don't get this stupid face headache. But when the next rad radar goes off, I sure do. Now imagine if you'd done that thing and those two other things, and now you've got spike proteins and heavy metals floating around inside your blood, and they're energized by the microwave radar that's being broadcast all over the country, that's throwing off the electrical system, and to say nothing of your nervous system, because that's an electrical system inside of your body. Also, Gesundheit, Doc. Also tied to that is the fact that your heart is an electrical mechanism, biomechanically speaking, and so no wonder so many people are having heart issues after the thing and the two other things. Yeah, it's just super interesting, isn't it? How all these things are connected. Jewel says, interesting. That might explain the recent headaches I've had. Man, I hope not, but What is your opinion on the NATO summit in Dayton, Ohio? That's a juicy target. Not for me, not for you, for domestic bad actors, you know. But we don't have any of those anymore because the FBI did say that there were 4,000 domestic bad actors. But then we, the people, hired Cash and Dan. Oh, no, wait, Trump did that. And now we don't have anything to worry about because those guys are in there. They're cleaning the house. Day one, don't worry. FBI headquarters will be a museum. Except it won't be because the swamp is bigger than those that are trying to drain it. And I'm not entirely sure that those that are trying to drain it actually want to try and drain it anyway. Roran, is that Hemati over there? If it is, can you run it this way for me real quick, please? I want to show you guys something. It's the Hemati. The Hemati. We tested these for the first time in class yesterday. And super interesting device. Dayton, one of the worst cities in Ohio. But yeah, it's a long list of worst cities in Ohio, if we're being honest. You know what I mean? There's a lot of competition, that's all I'm saying. I bet Jim Carrey and Dana Carvey both played one of those Joe Bidens. Meryl, you're probably correct. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. This is a Hemati. It's not a donut, although it's certainly shaped like one. It weighs 7.4 ounces, so almost half a pound. It's big. Okay, here's it in my hand. All right, it's big, heavy, thick. And this company reached out to us and was like, hey, do you want to use these things for pre-hospital trauma medicine? No, I do not. But their background is as a surgical device. You slip this up over your arm, over the limb. I'll do that here momentarily. And there's just a big spring in here that they say is calibrated at 350 micrograms of pressure, or whatever it is, to provide perfectly calibrated pressure on the arm. Well, turns out basic human physiology is the same for all people, but not all people are shaped the same. And we put them on a few different people yesterday, and it did not fully pinch off the artery, aka people still had pulses. So in pre-hospital trauma medicine, that's a problem because your blood's leaking out of you. What are you doing?
Jennifer said that if you say yes, I can have a lighter.
Jennifer said that if I say yes, you can have a lighter.
Yes.
That lighter?
Yes.
What are you doing with it?
Playing with it. Lighter stuff.
I don't think we're there yet. I don't think you need to have a lighter just yet. All right, Pyro, go give that back to Miss Jen. Get out of here. So, not a trauma medical device, but super interesting. There's white paper data, their own studies, but they have used these on women that were hemorrhaging during home births because the placenta hadn't dropped. And so they put one of these on each foot, pulled both of them at the same time. It moved all the blood out of their lower extremities, their legs, up into their core. That allowed the placenta to drop, hemorrhage stopped, saved the ladies' lives. That's super cool. That's a different application than pre-hospital trauma medicine, but that's super cool. So the way this is supposed to work is you got to put this around the limb, like so. This is my favorite part. Right? You poke this in here like this. Now you have a sock puppet. Definitely not going to work if you have any open fractures, pokey bone stuff. Don't love that. And then there's these two handles here, and you're supposed to pull the handle and roll it up your arm. And then, there you go. Now you have this thing on your arm, which is very stylish. However, though, for an arm approximately that size, with this perfectly calibrated spring inside of it, doesn't fully pinch off the artery. What it does do is it removes that cyanotic blue tint skin color from the hand, where the hand, most of the blood inside of the limb, you look at the difference between the two colors of my hands, one is much more pale than the other. Well, it's because it squished all the blood from here back up into the core. Well, that's cool. Problem is, I still got a faint pulse. Oh, well, Bearman, they would say, you didn't put it on properly. Oh, so how much training am I going to do with this $99 item to be able to put it on properly? So, it's weird. Sorry, I don't want to do an Elon salute. It's interesting. Definitely not trauma medicine, but it is useful more in a surgical setting or in a OB setting. You know, home birth, austere environment birthing, to get that blood out of the extremities back into the core. And then you roll it back down again. Fails the KISS principle, says Striker Cade. Yep. Come on. Roll back down. I imagine they're not designed to be reusable, but for $100 a piece, if you can't train with it, then there's no point in owning it in the first place. Hold on, I gotta get my marionette strings back here, back where they need to go. Okay, ish. I don't know, whatever. So, that's the Hemati. I've actually gotten a fair bit of questions about these, which is why I got 2 of them in, and they're interesting. You know, they love to go into, I've got their white paper data right here. A bunch of it's wrong. It's probably litigiously wrong. I'd be super careful with that. This is their data. Studies show that ratchet, zip, and swift tourniquets do not completely stop the bleed. At best, they are 33% less effective than Hemati and do not end overcompressed limb tissue. What? See, here's the problem. This is a surgical company. Surgery in very well lit, very clean, sterile, controlled environments. These things have had 2 million uses. Okay, cool. Surgery's great. Without surgery, I would be dead. Probably a bunch of you would also be dead. Comma, you know what, let's see, what is it? Is it Hemati? Hema-T.com. We'll use that as a background. www.hema, my gosh, my fingers are too big. Hemati.com. There it is. There they are. Hemati Stop the Bleed Tourniquet. I don't know. I decline your cookies website. Look at that. They got it inside of a Molly kit somewhere. That thing's gigantic. Next to some rolled gauze that's measured as 10 centimeters. So that's 4-inch rolled gauze. So centimeters tells us that's not domestically produced, and that picture's not domestic. This company also, I believe, is based in Middle Eastern New Jersey. Take that for what it is. So, at best, they're 33% less effective than the Hemati. Ratchet, zip, and swift tourniquets. Man, I don't know about that. Plus, the Hemati patented calibrated pressure technology is always the same and has been used in 2 million surgical tourniquets with no nerve or skin injury reported. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, this was really bad. The Hemati can stay on a limb for up to 2 hours. If longer evacuation time is needed, the Hemati can be rolled down after applying direct manual pressure on the bleeding injury. After 10 minutes, the Hemati can be re-rolled up over the injury site. Nope, we don't do that. We don't do that. Absolutely, we do not do that. Even a little bit, we don't do that. They used to teach this, or some people used to teach this. It's called weeping the tourniquet, so you could restore blood flow to the meat in the extremity, the arm or the leg. Turns out the meat in your arms and legs is different material than the meat of your organs, and the meat in your arms or legs can go, we know, at a current maximum timeline is 19 hours with a cat tourniquet from Eastern Afghanistan, flight time to Grafenberg, Germany, and into surgery. 19 hours, okay? You don't have to weep the tourniquet. Your meat, your arms and your legs, doesn't need the oxygenated blood flow. It's not going to experience cell death immediately. Your freaking kidneys, liver, yeah, they will experience cell death almost immediately. But we don't use tourniquets on those things anyway. So that whole, hey man, if it's been on there too long, just take it off for 10 minutes, that's a huge no-no. And that definitely shows, like, yeah, it's a surgical instrument. They've done no research when it comes to pre-hospital. They have some, they're showing it compared against a cat tourniquet here with their product. Studies show 36% of tourniquet applications fail or pressure set incorrectly. Whose studies? Not if you train, not if you know what you're doing. And then this page right here, you can screenshot that if you want. I think that's the one that's going to end up getting them, and the attorneys are going to fight it out. Because it's a direct comparison to the Hemati and cat tourniquets, and the cat data is wrong. And the other thing that it does is it aggregates cat data and recon. Is it recon? Where did it go? It was cat and one other. Cat and rhino. Cat and rhino rescue. Well, the rhino is a Chinese knockoff of the cat. No wonder it doesn't work. So that right there, cat and rhino, I would, if your statistics are based on cat and rhino, yeah. Now, I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on TV, and I'm not making this up because this is, see, it says right there, that's their papers. This is what they ship with their product. Yeah, not very good. All right, sorry. TACMed nerding out on stuff. That's the Hemati. Do I recommend it? No, not really, other than in birthing situations, and that'll probably be the reason why we bring them on if we bring them on. So, guys that have a boo-boo kit coming in the mail, we can fix him. Yeah. Considering a significant percentage of gunshot wounds require a tourniquet, gauze, dressing, splint, Coban, or ace wrap, that thing isn't even compatible with real kit. Oh yeah, 100%. Iridium Group. Many available medical products exist for the commercial opportunity, not because they need to exist. Just because it does blood control things doesn't mean it can acquire a market cap. Yeah, that's a great point, bro. So just throwing that out there. How do you put it on single-handedly? You know, Campfire Chef? That's a great question. That's a great question. What are our Committee on TCCC requirements in order for a tourniquet to be recommended by COTC? It has to be able to be applied with one hand, it has to be at least 1.5 inches wide, and it has to be able to be applied in 90 seconds or less. Okay. See if I can do this. I'm not weak, by the way. I've seen in some of their what is it, Instagram maybe? They're like, you can have a friend help you. What if I don't have a friend? I don't have a whole bunch of friends, guys. I got one of my other marionette strings wrapped up in this thing. All right, it's on. Sock puppet stuff. It is very entertaining. If you could put a couple of googly eyes on top of it, like make a kid version, that's the other thing. It's not to be used on patients below the age of 15 years from their own data. So when you're doing an analysis on a patient out there in the field, you're going to be like, excuse me, ma'am, how old are you? She's like, I'm 14. I'm sorry, I can't help you. Hurry up, I'm dying. Oh, man, all I got with me is a Hemati. Oh, but please do something. I would love to. I would love to help, but you're under 15 years old, so I guess I just can't assist. Versus the cat, 2 years, 1.5 inch diameter limb. So, yeah, Hemati. That's pretty much what I got for you guys today. I was just checking in, because Biden got butthole cancer or something. And I'm not convinced that the Biden that we have here is actually Joe Biden. None of these people look the same. That, look, not that guy. Where'd we go? Let's go back to that. Come on, man. That guy? That guy. That guy right there. That's a mask. That's a mask. That guy right there and that guy, those are not the same people. That, just look at the neck. Look at the chin. Look at the eyes, the eye spacing, the nose. Pointy, thin nose here. Okay, that's pointy, thin nose. Okay. And then all the way back here. Let's go back to original Joe Biden. There he is. There he is. That's not pointy, thin nose. Okay? That's wider, flatter nose. They're not the same people. They're just not the same people. So, anyway, that's the show for today. Pray for Grindstone. Grindstone's probably headed to London, Kentucky to go assist over there. CalebHouse.org if you want to support the counter-trafficking things that we do, like actually do, not just talk about on the internet like most losers. RefugeMedical.com. BOGO right now, buy one, get one kit, 30% off. Wilderness Responder class, accredited class, is in the store. Hemati is not in the store for lots of reasons. If you BOGO right now over $299, you get the free remote responder, free 4-hour block of instruction that we're doing live via a private live stream on May 30th. And you get a boogie, a little first aid kit. It's our little first aid kit, so it still has bleeding control in it. And all the things. If you've got any questions, visit the website, refugemedical.com. Call the store, shoot us an email, use the chat function on the website. There's real people, sometimes including me, on the other end of the chat function. We were messaging a guy the other day on the chat, and I was like, you know what, it would be easier, let's just talk on the phone. They send their phone number, I call, we're like 2 minutes into the phone call, he goes, wait a minute, is this Bear? I'm like, yeah, it's Bear. He goes, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's you. I'm like, yeah, wait, remember when I said there's real people on the other end of the phone? He's like, yeah, sometimes I'm one of them. Imagine that. So with that, love you guys. I'll see you when I see you. Don't let the reptilian overlords win. Stop feeding the robots. Get wildly, drastically independent of this broken, fragile system. Go do the things. Go be the light. Shalom, everyone.